Hi and welcome to Whiteboard Weekly number 55. This is the final one in my mini-series on how marketing is like online dating. We're going to look at that aspect of when things were going so well, where did they go? We've all been in that situation where you're talking to someone and things seem like they're going really well. And I'm not just talking about dating here, I'm talking about the marketing process. And suddenly the other person just stops, there's just silence. It's like, what have I done? Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's not you. We're going to look at that in a little bit of detail. Online daters have to sift through a lot of frogs before they find their prince or princess. And you'll probably notice that it's the same with marketing, that you have to sift through a lot of frogs before you find your ideal franchisee who signs on the dotted line. So let's look at some of the aspects of marketing which relate to the dating process and how this can affect or impact your process. So first of all, we've got the catfish. So the catfish is the person that drops in false information so they can get your prospectus or the online information document that you're offering through your website or a landing page. I know it's frustrating, but there's not much we can do about it. You've also got to be careful that you're not coming across as the catfish by using out-of-date imagery, stock imagery, or false information or information that's out of date. And I've looked at a number of franchise websites and the information is kind of out of date by a couple of years. So it's really important to make sure that you check your content regularly, that the information is always up to date, that you're not referring to something that happened, especially pre-pandemic. It's no longer relevant. So if your website, your information or anything, check it, make sure it's up to date and that you don't come across as a catfish. The next thing is breadcrumbing. And this is when a prospect or a lead will give you just enough information to give you an indication that they're slightly interested in your franchise, but that it's non-committal. They're not giving you anything that's a definite, it's just very non-committal, like, yeah, I'm kind of interested, just weighing up my options. Again, it's a little bit frustrating, but you can win them over. Bear in mind that they will be checking out other brands as well. So it's about how you respond to that person. Similar to what we were saying in the previous video about being like that Austin character that just wins them over just by your actions. Send them a personal invitation, even handwritten one, to a discovery day. Invite them to take that next step with you. Third one is a big one, is ghosting, and this is something that a lot of recruitment offices will have experienced. It's that thing of where a hot lead is really interested, you've invited them to come and sign the contract and they disappear. And they're not responding to your messages or your emails, they won't pick up the phone, they've just completely disappeared off the face of the planet. Are they still alive? Unfortunately, this happens a lot and it's frustrating, but we'll go into a little bit more detail of why this might be the case or why they might be ghosting you in a little while. But also be careful that you're not the one that comes across as ghosting. If you've got someone who is difficult to contact, for example, I've known of people who have tried to phone or email and have not had a response back from the franchise that they're trying to contact. That can come across as ghosting, even though you might be really busy or on holiday or whatever. There needs to be a quick response from you as the franchise. Fourth one is submarining. That's when you've had someone who's ghosted you and suddenly, out of the blue, they'll come back to you. Now, we had a client who had someone do this and a year later, they came back to the franchise and was like, actually, I'm ready to sign now. There were a lot of things that happened in that year, complete radio silence, but when they were ready, they signed the franchise contract and became one of the franchisees. So don't give up hope is what we're trying to say. So sometimes it's you, sometimes it's them. Let's look at the fact that it's not you, it is them. And it could be a number of reasons. It could be that actually they're not quite ready to start a franchise. Things are not quite ready in their personal lives, in their personal situations. Or they were just about to sign, but something came up at the last minute. Maybe they got a health scare. Maybe one of their family has become sick, or there's some situation that's just taking more of a priority in their lives and they're not ready to sign. So they are just going to disappear because their focus is elsewhere. Maybe they were just testing the waters just to see if there was an option out there. Is this something that I can do in the future? So they weren't ready yet, but they may be when the situation changes. Maybe you just weren't what they were looking for. I'm sorry, I know that hurts, but it might just be that they've signed up with a different brand altogether and have not had the confidence to say to you, I'm sorry, but I've gone with this person instead of you. It could be that they didn't feel confident enough to be able to run one of your franchises, in which case it is about the messaging that you're giving and making sure that you can deliver the content that reassures them of the training and support that you will give to your franchisees. They need to be able to understand that confidence is something that can be developed with you. It could be that they lost interest. Maybe the process was taking too long. Maybe something happened along the way and they just lost interest altogether in running their own business. Or maybe they're just looking, but they don't have any real desire to commit to anything. So whatever the reason behind the lead just disappearing, keep in touch anyway. Put them into your database and send them regular communications just to remind them that you're there, that when they're ready, that they can come back to you at any time, that the opportunity is always open, it's not time restricted. Because like I said, a client had someone come back to them after a year. So it is worth keeping in touch. If they're not interested, they will unsubscribe. So you're putting the onus on them, you're putting the ball in their court. Otherwise, just keep communicating with them, keep reminding them of who you are, the opportunity that you're offering. What about if it's not them and it is you? That's quite harsh, that hurts, but sometimes we have to assess, is it me? And it's worth doing this anyway at any stage of the process. It could be that they didn't feel that they got any long-term value for their future with your brand. It could be that you came across like you were offering a quick fix. That, and I've seen messaging where it's like, buy a franchise, fix all your problems. Or that you just wanted their money at the end of the day, that you weren't actually interested in them as a prospective franchisee. It could be that you played hard to get and they got frustrated. Bear in mind the wooing element, don't play hard to get, just, show your interest, show your cards and let the person see that they are of value to you as a prospective franchisee. Maybe they felt that you were inconsistent, that you weren't providing the information when they needed, but they had to keep chasing. It felt inconsistent and they got frustrated. Maybe they didn't really feel like you understood them or their goals or what they wanted. Maybe they didn't understand you and your goals and what you're about. In which case that does come down to the messaging element that you're putting out. Maybe, and I've said this consistently, maybe your imagery and your content was out of date or it wasn't clear. Maybe you came across as too strong, too pushy. We've all had, maybe not all of us, but some of us have had those guys that are just like really pushy and you're like, dude, just back off. And some salespeople can come across like that as well. You just need to give people some space sometimes to be able to think and to process. Maybe they felt that you lost interest in them. So there were a number of reasons why they may have picked up something from you, in which case it is so important and it's worth assessing every element of your chain process, of your funnel process, even of the people involved in the process. What vibe is being given off? Are you making the prospect feel like they're actually worth something to you and to your brand? It's always worth checking these elements at every stage of the journey that you're taking your leads through. And ask some of your franchisees who are new to the network, how did they find the process? You could even go so far as to having a secret shopper who will go through the franchise lead process and will be able to feed back to you about how they found the process for themselves. If you're not sure about any element of this, then someone from the Coconut team can assess these elements for you and to help you draw a picture of your lead generation and your prospect funnel. So hopefully you got something from this video. If you've got any comments or questions, then pop it below in the comments and someone will get back to you.